So you want to know how to increase your thoracic or T-spine mobility? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 of the best exercises that we use down here at Unity Gym to do so. Now stick around to the end because I'm also going to show you guys the one absolute must-have tool and where to pick it up at a super cheap price. All that and more coming up. The gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. And hey, in case we haven't met, my name's Yanni Bormeister. I'm one of the co-founders of Unity Gym and the Foundation Movement System, where we teach you how to nourish and move instead of just diet and exercise. Now, today's video is going to go deep dive into thoracic mobility, but there are a few key essential take-homes that I'm going to start with right now. Let's go. Hey, so I love producing video content that you can do at home with very little equipment, if any at all. But in today's video, we are going to be using some equipment essentials. Now, there are many exercises that you can do that don't require equipment, and a lot of them today are going to be included in the video. But the big thing that we're going to do here is what we call integrational spinal manipulation, or spinal integration, and that is getting the vertebra of the spine to move segmentationally, because a lot of the time we're subluxed in our desk job and our shoulders are rounding forward, whether we're driving a car, whether we're working, operating a computer, and that in itself, because the body has this adaptation nature, forces your body to adapt into that sort of subluxed position where the body's tilted forward, the shoulders are rounded, and that creates one of the biggest problems for the thoracic or T-spine. So in order to really effectively open that up, you are going to need to invest a little bit of your hard-earned, but we're going to give you links to all of these bits of equipment. We will make sure that we link straight to the best price possible so you can pick it up. Anyway, moving on. Hands down, the biggest point that I want to ram home today is overall mobility is going to play a huge role in your body's function and really allowing your thoracic spine to start moving and operating properly again. So guys, you know, look at this from an overall holistic approach. Don't just go, okay, I want to get my thoracic spine more flexible and neglect the rest of your body. You really should be doing a program like our 18-minute stretch routine or the points in our mobility blueprint every day. Like, reinforce mobility over the entire body from a holistic approach, and that's really the first step here and the first point that I want to talk about. Next, we're going to look at, when we start to really focus on specifics for the thoracic spine, the 3 different movements that we need to work on. We need to work on extension, we need to work on side flexion, and we need to work on rotation. And those are the 3 areas. And there is an order that we want to work on that, depending on how locked up you are. If you're really locked up through the thoracic, which I'm sure many of you are, especially if you're sedentary, you're programming, or you're doing a lot of work on the computer during the day, you go to the gym and you need to really be able to do this properly without causing yourself any disc injury. So what I like to say is we work on extension first. Extension will help open you up, and then we can work on flexion. You don't want to reverse that order. You don't want to work on rotation before we've got the thoracic spine or T-spine moving in and out of extension, flexion, nice and comfortably. So I like to say extension, flexion first, side flexion second, and then rotation. That's the order of priority. And that's really point 2 that I want to get forward today in this video. So let's take a look at a few of the movements and exercises that we can do on, first of all, extension and flexion. Now I've got an array of really cool tools. First and foremost, I've got back balls, and these are amazing. As I said before, links in the description. We've got 3 different sizes, from large to medium to small and very aggressive. Now if you look at these, the way that they're going to sit on my spine, the big one here is going to probably move 2 to 3, depending on how tall you are and how big you are, 2 to 3 vertebrae on me. The medium ones usually work on 1 or 2, and the smallest one works on 1 vertebra at a time. So this is the most aggressive, and usually what I say is introduce yourself to the big one. Now these are like pick them up on Amazon, you can pick them up for around 10 bucks now. They're not that expensive. If you are really sensitive and really locked up, we also have the foam rollers here. It really doesn't matter what size you use for this, but I personally prefer the rumble roller. And that's just because it's a more versatile piece of equipment. You can use this for self-massage, a lot more effective. Now these are a great starting point for self-myofascial release, massage and trigger point. But after about a month, after a few weeks of using it regularly, you're not gonna get much out of it. Whereas the rumble roller, you'll have this for life. They're freaking amazing. But these as a whole, the foam rollers, are not nearly as effective at spinal integration as the back ball. Once you progress beyond that, most of the spinal integration, that's the flexion extension movement we're going to practice today, is going to come on one of these. So that's what I'm going to use for the demonstration. I'll start off on the big one, nice and easy so you'll be able to see it. Now what I'm going to do is place this on my 12th rib, which is about here. Okay, so where I am on the 12th rib there, we want to open up and inhale, fill our chest with air, really suck a big deep breath in, and then we're going to exhale as we go into that forward flexion movement. Then we're going to roll a little bit down, maybe one vertebra, we're going to open up again, really big deep breath, and now, we're going to continue to do that until the ball, the back ball, is right up on the neck here. Now, you'll find when we go through the shoulder blades, we want to actually give ourselves a bit of a hug here. And what that does is it separates the scapula so that we have room for the back balls to work in without causing too much stress on the shoulder blades. You'll know what I mean when you hit them. It's quite uncomfortable. So when you get up the top there, give yourself a nice big hug. Big deep breath as we open up, and then exhale as we move through. Now that should take about 3 or 4 minutes to go from the bottom of the rib cage all the way up to the top of the T-spine. You don't want to go into the cervical spine up the very top in the neck, particularly when you're new to this, because it will just be too much strain and load. Now, why am I emphasizing the breathing? Those deep diaphragmatic breaths are going to get the intercostals in the ribs and all of the deep muscles opening, contracting, and relaxing. So think of it as stretching from the inside out. We're using the lungs and the capacity of the lungs to really help open up the ribs. Remember, there's a whole system of bone structure happening on each disc. You've got the facet joints where the ribs connect on to the disc. You've got the disc itself. We're trying to get movement through all of that to really open up that thoracic spine, okay? So there's our first exercise, and that's forward flexion extension. We call it thoracic integration using these back balls. Again, I've linked in the description where you can pick these up on Amazon for really a decent price. The amount of bang for your buck you get from these guys is absolutely insane. I carry them everywhere. Okay, the second exercise we're going to do is kneeling, and it's a kneeling thoracic rotation. So remember, we've done our forward flexion extension, and really guys, if that's really uncomfortable for you and you struggle to get into that extended position on the foam roller or the back balls, then you're probably going to want to work just in that plane for a little while, because putting the body into rotation may cause you a little bit of drama. If you're unsure, go and check out with a physiotherapist and let them clear you, make sure that you're okay. But for everybody else, and that's probably going to be 80 or 90% of the people, we're going to continue on. We're going to go into some rotation. So the first exercise we're going to do here is a kneeling elbow rotation, where we rotate up through the body like that. Now while we're on all fours, this is quite easy. If we want to, we can sit back and make it a little harder, and we're going to rotate up through the thoracic spine like that. Nice and easy. Now the kneeling is the first progression, okay? And I like to do it on all fours like this, and we're really just going to rotate through with the elbow back down onto all fours. Of course, we would do about 5 to 10 repetitions and then repeat the process on the other side. Nice and easy, rotating through that thoracic T-spine. And I'm really just trying to extend my elbow up towards the ceiling. Now that's the easy variation. The harder variation, and it's important to understand how to progress these exercises, is that we do it in a squat position. Obviously, if you're still working on achieving a deep squat like this and that's really uncomfortable, then this exercise is going to be way above your capacity at the moment. But if you do have a nice deep squat, then this is a really fantastic way to increase that thoracic rotation drill. Up with the elbow to the ceiling, then we can reach to the ceiling and come back down. And then I like to obviously always repeat. We want to be basically nice and even on each side. And that is exercise 2, our rotation drill. Okay, our third exercise is where we start to go into hanging. So we're starting to decompress. The idea here is to get decompression through the spine. The first progression here, we're going to need some rings. These are absolutely insanely versatile tools to strengthen the upper body. I highly recommend, if you guys don't have some in your kit, get some. Now, and obviously I'll link some in the description, the ones that we use. I'll link these exact rings in the description. They're really cool, and I think they cost us about 30 bucks. All right guys, so we're going to take our body. Now the idea here with this first progression is that we're not lifting our entire body weight, and we're just opening up that thoracic spine and T-spine, and now we're integrating the shoulders into the exercise. We can roll from side to side just to really loosen up through the hips and the hip flexors a little bit. Nice and easy. Big deep breaths. And I'd hold this for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, to progress the decompression exercise, we go to vertical hanging. Now, obviously I could use the ring, and we also have the versatility of transitioning to a bar here at the gym. So the first one I'm doing here, I've got my toes on the floor, and I'm just allowing my body weight to sink down. Now the idea here is that you literally relax everything in your body except for your gripping muscles. So you can't be 100% relaxed, you've got to hold on. But we want the shoulders to open up and decompress. We want the spine to decompress. So we want to take it down nice and easy. But if you've got a lot of tension throughout your body, or you're carrying a little bit of extra weight, taking your full body weight may be too intense at this point. So I'm starting on a low bar, and I've got my toes on the ground. So now I can really open up through my thoracic, and I don't have to worry. Obviously for myself, I'm strong enough, so I would do it from a high bar, and I would allow my body weight to fully hang, and that makes it a really effective exercise. Now our goal with every single person is to hang for like several minutes a day. Now if we do it every day, our body remains very capable of doing so. So hang for up to 5 minutes. If you're just doing it through this routine, at least 2 or 3 60-second drills hanging. Okay, the next progression, or fourth exercise in this series, is a very good integrative movement that's very popular among physiotherapists, because it can literally be done by anyone, even if you're already injured or you're suffering pain through your thoracic spine or your cervical spine. It's called the archer stretch. Now we're going to lay down on the floor, and then we're going to lay on our side so we're nice and comfortable. Pull your hip to the side like this. To start with, we're going to clap our hands together. We're going to take a nice big diaphragmatic breath in through the nose, and as we exhale, we slide that hand down across the jaw and open up through the body like that. Big deep breath in through the nose, and exhale, rotate through. Now what we're looking for here is that as we breathe out, we open up the cervical spine through the neck, the thoracic spine here. We draw our elbow down to the floor, and we try to keep this knee crossed over, pointing towards the starting position. So you're going to feel this stretch, hopefully, from the hip right through to the cervical spine in the neck. And of course, then we would repeat. I like to do this 3 to 10 times. It's a very soothing, very relaxing stretch, and we repeat that on the other side. Where we go from here as a progression, once you feel like this is really comfortable and easy, is we go to an open book stretch, which is just extending the leverage that opens up the thoracic and cervical spine. And this is referred to as an open book. So from here, big deep breath in, and we open up and back. Big deep breath in. If you do have an injury in the neck and you're doing this to soothe that injury, I advise that we lift up. We have what's called a D-roller or a half foam roller here, which is literally, so when I'm working rehab with someone, this is how we do it. We put this under the head, so it helps to keep that cervical spine perfectly straight. And then as we roll through, obviously, we can just support the neck a little bit better. If you're coming from an injury, I highly recommend doing that. These I'll link in the description as well to make it nice and easy for you guys. Okay, we're on to our 5th exercise. We want to do our side flexion. Now this starts off, the base version of that is literally what I'm doing here, where we just stretch down to the side. We want to feel a nice big stretch up here. Reach as far as we can down the leg. Keep the gaze forward. Come back to neutral. Other side. Nice and slow. We want to try to see that we're fingertip is reaching the same distance each side, and back to neutral. This is quite easy, so we can progress to weighted side flexion each side, and we want to do about 8 to 10 repetitions, but we really want to do it as a stretch. So it's not an oblique exercise, guys. I know that's a great exercise to use for the obliques, but what we're doing here with our thoracic and T-spine is really stretching. Use a dumbbell or a kettlebell to load it and lift down. If you've got those weight plates in your gym that have a handle, you can use those, that's fine. 8 to 10 repetitions, 2 or 3 sets, and then we're going to progress this one to spinal integration standing. So the first drill that we do here at Unity is visualize that we've got a couple of pens sitting on our shoulders that we're trying to balance here, kind of looking like a scarecrow. And then we want to think about pushing the rib cage as far to the side as possible. Really squeeze, squeeze, squeeze back to the middle. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze to the side, back to the middle. And we repeat that 5 to 7 times, then the other side 5 to 7 times. Then we can do chest forward, chest backward, chest forward, chest backward, and then we can even do circles with the rib cage. And that is like pretty intense spinal integration that is really, really effective and a great progression from just doing side flexion, okay? Now those are our 5 exercises. That's it, guys, our 5 primary exercises. Now, I cannot stress this enough. If you don't have a mobility strategy that has a holistic approach, meaning that we do the entire body really, really effectively as a program, you guys need to hit us up and download our free mobility or flexibility blueprint. That is the 7 biggest lessons that we've learned over 25 years of training that has had the most profound effect on our bodies. Now, I want to reiterate the main points. Start with flexion extension first. Once we can comfortably flex and extend our thoracic spine, whether it's on the foam rollers or the back balls, then we can move to rotation drills and side flexion drills. But make sure if you have impingements or disc bulges or anything else like that, until you can do flexion extension, it's dangerous to do rotation. If you're really locked up in a kyphotic position, rotation could hurt your discs. So please start with these, okay? And that brings me to the big piece of equipment that I talked about at the start. This is it. If you don't want to get all 3 of these, go for the middle one, okay? Go for the middle one. And I'm going to put this first on the list of affiliate links that you guys can purchase. I really mean this, guys. If you're serious about getting a healthy spine, these back balls are your biggest bang for your buck. You can carry them anywhere. They don't require a lot of space in your luggage. This would fit in a carry-on. Kalisha, my partner, my fiance, is behind the camera. We have these at home in the lounge room, in the bedroom. They are absolutely fantastic. I'm addicted to them, and they were a real game changer for me. My background for about 16 years, quite seriously, but on and off over a period of about almost 20, I guess it's about 16, 18 years, I was boxing. Now boxing, I was really quite rounded in the shoulders, and I had quite a round spine. And when I started to want to bodybuild and work out in the gym, I found that I was really injuring my shoulders all the time. And thoracic mobbing became a really big part of my training because I needed to open up so that I could do overhead without hurting my shoulders. It took quite a while, but when I found these little suckers, the increase in my thoracic mobility happened almost overnight. It was phenomenal. Combine this, if there's two things you take away, combine this with the decompression, so the hanging drills, the thoracic extension using the rings, or the hanging on a bar, and you'll get amazing results. Anyway guys, until next time, if you like this video, consider subscribing. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get to see our content first. And until next time, keep crushing your goals in the gym. Sorry, start again. Okay, hopefully you guys can see a little bit. Are you going to get me on the floor here? Have you got enough of a shot? Mm-hmm. Have you got my hands in the shot? Yep. Yeah? Okay, we're on to our 5th set.
Action.
Just hold on a sec.